Hello everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids. We are on Varis's account once again. If you didn't see me pull 1000 void shards for Varis, go check it out, you missed it. Go check it out, it was an amazing video. But today, by popular request, we are going to be checking out Angar. And by the way, if there are any other champions you'd really like to see, I'm going to be going through the comments on that 1000 void video again and picking out maybe one or two more champions depending on how things go and how much time we've got and all of that. But today we're looking at Angar. You guys have said we really like Angar, nubkeks, will you take a look at him? So we're going to look at him in a couple of different builds today. First of all, in a more general build, and then we're going to look at building him specifically for Hydra as well and seeing how it goes together. So for example, right now he's in a frost set, which is actually I think pretty cool and it's going to be pretty nice in the arena, but obviously not going to be useful for Hydra. We're going to try him out here first. So what is the big deal with Angar? What is his skill set? It's A1 double hitter with an extra hit if the enemy has a provoke debuff. All of his damage is based off of HP as well. So if provoke is out there, he's going to hit fairly hard. Okay, cool. Infuriate then is A2, has a 3-turn cooldown when booked, AoE attack, places provoke on all enemies for 1 turn, puts reflect damage on all allies for 2 turns, and places counterattack on this champion for 2 turns. So this is a move that's going to let him be a mischief tank pretty much, because he's going to have counterattack on himself, and we're not going to run anyone else in the team with counterattack. It's going to put him higher in the buffs. Reflect damage, we'll see if that actually translates to much. Usually this is a really underwhelming buff that doesn't do too much for you, unfortunately. But it is an AoE, 100% chance to provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. And then he's got another source of provoke with his passive, Bravado. If an enemy with provoke debuff attacks, has a 40 bucks to a 50% chance of placing provoke back on them for 1 turn. And each hit taken reduces damage taken by 5% up to 30% in 1 round. So he should stack up to like 30% damage reduction pretty quick. It should be kind of no problem. Like Hydra fights are just 1 round, right? It's just 1 round. Clan boss is just 1 round. So he should have a ton of damage reduction, really no problem. And a decent chance to re-provoke. So we'll see. We'll see, is this enough or is it too random? Certainly in arena it should be powerful. He has a 44% HP and faction crips aura, which is obviously fantastic but not super useful here for these purposes. So how has he been built out on this account? This is your sort of Doom Tower and arena specialist. So he's about crowd controlling waves of enemies and tanking through it. So he's got 212 speed, so he's got okay speed. He's got about 67,000 HP. He's got 2,600 defense here, 100% crit rate, a bit of crit damage, 170%, 200 resist, and then 360 accuracy. So he's got, he's got reasonable stats across the board. I do think one issue we might run into is that speed is maybe not super high, so the enemy's likely to get a turn before we get a chance. But we'll see if we can make it work for his mastery. See, he is over here with War Master, and then he's got some sort of counterattack masteries, reducing damage from crits. So yeah, he should be a monster for Doom Tower, and should be okay in arena. So let's try him out before, let's try him out. Let's give it a go. Okay, well, look, I'm trying to theory craft up a team, and it's definitely kind of tricky. I'm going to put him in here in place of Warlord. Now, I think this is where Angar, for me, definitely does fall down a bit, right? Warlord coming in, he can do this AoE that puts enemy skills all on cooldown, and that chance to deplete turn meter. Now, this is pretty much the best move in arena in the game, right? But that is the sort of thing that you're up against as a Void Legendary. That's sort of the bar that you're being compared to. I think we can put Angar in this slot, and Angar is going to be very good. If we built him, if we put him into Warlord's gear with 280 speed and 670 accuracy, he'd be very good at landing the provoke, and he'd have an okay chance to keep that provoke reapplied. But that's sort of all he'd be bringing, and it's just not as powerful as putting all skills on cooldown. But we're going to try him in this anyway. Now, the issue is that our Angar is not as fast as this Warlord, so we're going to try him against a slower team and see can he lock them down. Just as a rough test here. Just a rough test, so we're going to obviously try him out. We'll set him to priority 1 here, Infuriate. Let's give it a go. We're up against this team, so this is a slower team. We might run into an issue where Brogni might outspeed us. We shall see. And if we do have a problem, we can re-gear him. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So there we go. We strip their stuff. Angar goes in and he lands a provoke. The nice thing about this, of course, actually we can see a nice thing and a downside. Nice thing and a downside. So the nice thing, we were able to buff up his accuracy at Lady Kimmy to ensure he could land his debuff. Now the not so nice thing, as you saw right there, here he goes. He's going to get his extra attacks in. He does okay damage, but the provoke didn't go back on. The downside, you might have seen it, was that when someone nuked them, it actually removed the provoke. It's kind of a big problem. It's that resurgent mastery is a pretty big problem. Let's try again this slow sort of team. So the resurgent mastery, that popped up there and got in our way. Does she have it? She might. No. This one, if you lose 25% of your max HP or more from a single enemy skill, 50% chance to remove a debuff. Now this can remove the provoke, and again that leaves you in a bad spot compared to that warlord or anything like that. That can be a little bit tricky. That provoke can be removed and you can be in for a tough time. We'll try it against this team right here. Obviously we have to pick these sort of slower teams. We'll see if Kimmy is able to remove. So we're not able to remove there the that's a bummer. We're not able to remove the block buffs or block debuffs from Roto, so he doesn't get provoked. But we're going in, like, the counterattack, it's adding up to pretty good damage here. He just got smacked by Rotos, goes in and smacks Rotos back. Necret's about to go down, and now you can see, yeah, he's just sort of slamming in those A1s, is Angar. It's not too bad. Rotos, he's looking a bit scary, and he gets taken down. Cool. In terms of the damage, I mean, 57k. He's doing some damage. He's not really built for it big time. He's doing a bit of damage, and those counterattacks are quite nice, but it's not too crazy. But it's definitely something to watch out for. Again, it's not a problem Warlord has, right? Block buffs, block debuffs, Stone Skin. These things don't get in the way, whereas they do for Angar. They do for Angar, which is a bummer. We could try this team. So the issue again, we might be outsped here. I'm kind of curious to see what happens if they might maybe cut in and get a go. So we're faster. Lady Kimmy pushed them back, but now they get a go because Angar is too slow. I just want to see how this is going to go. Will we be able to catch back up? He gets to provoke out. We'll see how well he can tank up now. We've got a Trunda's going to A1 him with increased attack. Could be kind of scary. Oh my goodness, yeah. Trunda absolutely slammed right there. Okay, that was actually kind of funny. I actually didn't think he was going to die. I thought he'd live. But yeah, I mean, look, I think trying him out here in Arena with these teams, and this sort of a speed team, running him like as a pseudo warlord. Obviously, our speed is a bit low here. He does a good job. It's a 100% chance to provoke, and he can extend it. You get some counterattacks off. It's not bad. I just do think it does struggle with Stone Skin. Now, we could put him in a very, very different sort of team. We could put him in a very different team, like a really slow team. I don't know if we've got many very, very slow teams on the account. We've got a plat defense right here. We could put him in this. This might be worth trying. Let's just see if we put him in like as a super stall champion instead of this Mountain King. What's going to happen here? So let's give it a go. Now, we don't have increased accuracy, so he's going to struggle there. But he could potentially keep chain provoking them. Actually, it's going to be highly unlikely against it. Never mind. It's not going to work against a Mithrala. Let's be real. We could try it out against these guys. Sure. Here we go. Let's try it out against these guys. So up against Warlord himself. And our goal is not necessarily to kill them. It's just sort of to survive. So we're going to get locked out from our stuff. Mithrala's going to put a shield on. I don't know. I do think, which is kind of difficult to set up here, you could maybe run him. Like, he's getting all these counterattacks in, but it's not doing too much. You could run him, I think, maybe with a really, really tanky team. Like, just 4 HP-based champions, or like a Mithrala instead, maybe. Something like that. With a bunch of champions in bolster set, basically, that are going to be just super protected and sort of slamming out some good HP-based damage. I do think he could work okay in that sort of circumstance. But we can see here he's really just flustered by champions like Sifi and stuff like that. Like, if this was a Warlord instead of an Angar, we'd have a much easier time. Not really a very fair comparison, because you can kind of do it with any champion, you know? Like, literally any champ in the game, you can say, well, you know, compare them with a Warlord. And, yeah, so I think this fight's going to go on forever. They might... I don't think they can ever kill us, and I don't think we can ever kill them, because these are 2 super tanky teams. It's sort of a fun thing to experiment with. But you sort of get the idea. I will be honest, I'm not super impressed with him here in Arena. I think he's fine, but he doesn't scream Void Legendary to me. Like, the thing I'm looking at is she's got really bad base speed, but Umbral Enchantress, she's got no base accuracy and terrible base speed. She does come in, though, with a 2-turn provoke with Unkillable on herself. Like, for the most part, that's kind of doing what Angar's doing, but a little bit more consistently. Like, I'm just not super sold on it. And I think compared to the other sort of void control champions, so I'm thinking about, you know, things like Tormin. I'm thinking big time about, obviously, his fellow Orc Warlord is the most brutal comparison. I don't feel like he's bringing I don't feel like he has the same oomph. So he's going to be good, sort of early mid game, even pushing into the later game. He's going to be good, but he's certainly not an end game champion for Arena, as far as I can tell. Yeah, as far as I can tell, I'm not super crazy impressed by him there. So yeah, let's try him out though. Let's to be fair, let's run him in a Doom Tower wave or two and see how he does. So I don't know. Let's come up to wave. Let's go for the last 10 waves. And let me see, do we have a team here? We might. Now, this is a really cool team here, Anti-Mortu. We've got him in. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Let's take out the Krisk and let's throw in Angar. And let's see how this goes. So, we put in Angar as an extra provoke. Let's just slap him into some waves. And let's see, this is a really nice team. I think we got lots of provokes on this team. Provokes for days. So, we're coming in. Kimmy's going to be speed boosting us, increasing our accuracy. We get the provoke from Molly. We get another provoke from Angar. Now, what I'm hoping to see... Another potential provoke right there. What I'm hoping to see is these provokes getting reapplied perhaps by Angar's passive, which is where I think he'd be quite nice. Didn't happen there in that Rotos. We'll see. She in the front. These two in the front are the next to go. So she just went. No provoke reapplied. I think that is how it works, right? Right there. No provoke reapply. Do they have to attack him? Does it have to be his provoke? I thought it was just he had a 50% chance to reapply provoke. Molly is taking some hits here, which is a bit worrying. There we go. Provoke went onto that Roto. Oh, no. He was provoked by Molly. Sorry. Yeah, we'll see. I'm not seeing any go back on. I could be misreading it. And the problem with this team, I suppose, is that because we have faster provokers, he is sort of getting outrun. They're not actually attacking him. So his counterattack isn't getting to work. So we could maybe switch out Molly. Have him be the fastest provoker. That might help. Yeah, let me switch this up real fast. Let's switch it up. Let's switch out the Molly. All right, let's go again. Let's put in Sylve the Drakes instead for some stuns and just some like extra healing and revive and all that. Let's see how it goes. So again, we get the increased attack. We've got some stuns going out. Okay, cool. Here we go. Boom. Provoke is out for one turn. Coronars tries to do his provoke as well, but it's already on. And there we go. His passive actually kicks in. His passive is kicked in again. He's getting some nice counterattacks in for some pretty good damage. There's stuns going out. I do think for like Doom Tower waves, especially this team is called Anti-Mortu, right? Dealing with Mortu Macab, who's that chance to unlock Peril, which is going to, at higher levels, especially if Doom Tower hard, it's going to one-shot literally anyone. There's the freeze from his freeze set kicking in. So yeah, it's not bad. Like, he's provoking these enemies. Whenever they attack him, he's got the 20% chance to freeze. He's got, Rotos escaped. He's got then a 50% chance to re-provoke them. It's not super consistent, but it's actually pretty damn good. So I definitely think this is the sort of content where he thrives the most. I think he's much stronger here than he was in Arena, where it's about, you know, these consistent... He doesn't need to be super consistent just for those first two turns. All right, guys, we're about to come to the end. Here we go. So it's not super fast, right? It's about a 5-minute run. And there we go. We can see at the end... That's hilarious. Sylve, what? I mean, I guess she's a +4, right? Sylve the Drakes. Well, I didn't see that one coming. Syl top damage. There you go. I mean, there you go. Angar, he's doing all right. You know, 570 is not bad. He's in second place. So pretty respectable damage there from Angar, I have to say. But this, like I said, I think this is the area where he really does well, right? Consistent source of provokes, getting some extra little bits of damage out. He's nice and tanky. He's not going to take too much damage. So yeah, he's just a good way to help you lock down these waves, which is really how you do Doom Tower hard. So I think he's actually really good for this. Yeah, I think he's very, very good. He does the job well. You can build him for it. He's going to be good against the Magma Dragon too, which is the boss you need to provoke. So for this sort of stuff, I actually was very impressed with him. Now, I feel like any sort of build is going to work. So let's re-gear him for this sort of stuff. So yeah, sort of, you know, he's kind of lived up to my expectations so far of being actually really good for Doom Tower hard and for being a fairly mediocre option, I think, for the Arena. I mean, if you guys have any Angar specific teams for Arena though, let me know. Right, I'm going to re-gear him, and what we're going to try to do, we are going to build him for hard Hydra, I think we're going to do. So we're going to try him out in hard, which is, I think, the place that most people are sort of doing or progressing on. at the moment. So we're going to check him out there and see how he can do. So it just means that it's going to be a little bit easier to gear him in terms of resistance, and we'll make the gear a little bit more obtainable, more realistic for you guys. So yeah, I'll be right back. We're going to build him up for that. We're going to want, I think for hard, we want about 460 resistance. I say it's obtainable. It's still pretty hard. And we want probably about 300 accuracy. I'll just double check those figures, something like that, and I'll let you know how it looks. If you want to know my process for this, basically what I'm doing, I'm going to put him into a resistance chest piece, a resistance banner, and then we're actually going to filter by substats just for resistance, and we're going to look for pretty much perception gear to get him up to where we would want him. This is actually looking pretty I'm probably in the way. Yeah, I'm in the way. But it's got HP percent, it's got crit rate, crit damage, so this should be nice. Get some damage out of him. We are not going to need him to be super quick. So if he's too fast, we can swap speed boots for like HP percent boots or something. Just because, well, I think he could be decent speed, to be honest. He doesn't want to be the fastest. We probably want him to be the slowest in the roster. But yeah, so I think this should work reasonably well. So we're dropping some speed. That's good. We're going to start cranking up the accuracy. He's probably going to end up too well geared, actually, if I don't pay attention here. Let's steal an Ugo thing as well. Oh, this is lovely. Look at that. 3 rolls in resistance. Very nice. We do get a bit of speed off of that. We'll take it. He's actually looking fairly decent already. I think he has an accuracy banner on. Let's go switch that. There might be an Ugo. Actually, Ugo might be in this team. I might have made this a little awkward. Let's see what we've got here. Now, if we got a blood shield, that would be really good, but I'm not sure that we do. So he's always going to have counterattack on, so he doesn't need this. We can give him one with just nice stats. It's got lots of speed. I think this one had HP percent. No, it didn't. What about this one? No, none of them have HP percent. Okay, so I think for the purposes of science, this is really awkward. We've got an attack ring with 3 rolls of attack percent, which is really bad for him, but this is a blood shield accessory. So blood shield is going to give him, I'm in the way, but it's going to give him a shield worth 5% of the damage that he deals after he attacks. Now, this shield is going to be tiny. This shield is going to do almost nothing. But what it will do is be 1 extra buff on him that might help direct the Head of Mischief to him. And he's going to be counterattacking all the time. Why? Well, because he literally has counterattack on himself. So I think it's worth trying this out. You can see his speed's actually really high, but his HP has really started to drop quite low. So I think we throw him into maybe some HP percent boots and see where that leaves us. So let's see some HP percent boots. Maybe we've got ones equipped that are a bit better. Let's see. No, almost none. Okay, well, that's fine. This one's got some resistance on it. We're going to have tons of resistance. This is going to make him much tankier. It's got a little bit of speed on it, and I think it's probably fine. Let's just roll this up. We've got a small bit of silver to spare, so I think it's okay. And yeah, throw this on. So he's going to be like 182 speed, which is pretty reasonable, about 60k HP. He's got almost 100% crit rate. He's got 260 accuracy is how much we needed, about 460 resistance. He almost has enough resistance really for Nightmare, which is kind of nice. So yeah, let me actually take a screenshot and let's throw this on. Cool, great. Gonna leave him in the same gloves. We could probably put something better on, but I don't think it's a huge deal. He's got like crit rate gloves with some accuracy, resistance, and speed. Like, they're pretty good, to be honest. So yeah, we'll leave him with that. We could glyph it up, but I think it's gonna be fine. And then for his masteries, I think this stuff is pretty much good. Yeah, now one difference, you could give him solidarity. Now these are small things though. I don't know if it's super important. Well, I tell you what, there's no reason not to. Reset it for free. He can, you know, I'll take a screenshot from before. Let's reset it. So what I would do, I give him, we're definitely going to give him War Master. So give him this. We will give him Life Drinker to heal up. We'll give him Bring It Down for damage. We're going to more A1 damage. He's going to A1 all the time in War Master. Then we'll give him the Resistance here, making it easier to build resistance. We'll give him more healing and shielding just to help stay alive. And we'll give him less damage from AoE attacks. Lots of AoE from the Hydra. I mean, you could technically give him Wisdom of Battle, which can be okay if they're going to be feared, but I think it's fine. He's got so much resistance, he doesn't need block debuffs. We'll give him Resurgent. That's just a good thing to have. We'll give him Delay Death. If you were running him in Arena, you could absolutely give him Harvest Despair, which is... Oh, never mind. Oh, never mind. I take it back. This doesn't actually land off Provoke. I didn't know that. I thought it did. Well, I'm wrong, so you don't need that. Solidarity. Give him a little bit of extra resistance, just for good luck. For good measure, we'll give him the chance to counterattack. Sure, he gets smacked, and we might as well give him Cycle of Revenge. I think it's okay. Deterrence is also pretty good as well. I don't think it really matters, and we'll give him, sure, more damage to targets at low life. That's fine. Yeah, maybe Deterrence is slightly better. I don't want to do it because I don't remember if we're running with... yeah, I can't quite remember what sort of team we're running with here. So let me double check. So there's a couple of teams that he uses. This is a Nightmare team, which is a really good team with Cardial Krisk. We've got actually Cardial Krisk showing up in Brutal as well, this time with Nekmothar, which is really cool. He said this team worked really well. We're going to throw him into this hard team. So we'll put him in here, and we'll take out Kantra. He said this Kantra works really well. Kantra works really, really well. And I love Kantra, so we'll see. I mean, Angar's a Void Legendary. He should be better, right? He should be. We'll see if he can do as good of a job. But yeah, let's give it a go. So we got the Venus Cupidus combo. He said this team does run full auto. So let's have it run full auto. Let's dive in. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how this works. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued. All right, here we go. And I guess we'll target... I guess it doesn't matter what we target, right? Because we're going to be applying this stuff AoE anyway. Cupidus actually does Punishing Partner. We can see the buffs did get stolen there. Angar wasn't... No, he was fast. And no, he wasn't quite fast enough, I don't think. But he did get the Provoke out. So at least there's that. Hang on, the block debuff wasn't out. Hang on, let me restart that one. Let me see our team setup here. 1 second. Okay, so I just tweaked the team AI to make her prioritize this. I've turned off Flame Out on Cupidus. I don't know if it's that important, but he's going to get increased attack from Duchess anyway. Angar with this. I left Venus as she was. We're going to open up with the Radiant Suffering to hopefully get block buffs on everyone. And then we're going to make Royal Guard prioritize this. So let's see if this works. Let's see. If Cupidus is faster than... to Hanorach, we could have a problem. Here we go. We get a random slam. There we go. Block buffs on everyone. That is what we want to see. Great. We get the burnout and everything as well. And here comes the provoke. So Head of Decay is provoked, but now he's missed it. He's missed it. It's that 50-50 chance. I think this is the problem. Now, that being said, we are fairly slamming through these heads already, which is pretty cool. Cupidus is just disgusting when he's with Venus. There's really no question about that. Let's target Decay, I guess. I mean, we shouldn't really need to target Decay. But yeah, so this is going to be a little bit of a problem. We could maybe run like a Husk in here. Husk would help, for sure. So we're going to get the cleanse off, but we blocked the increased attack. We blocked the Poison Cloud, so I think we're fine. And let's just leave it properly full auto. He says that with Kantra, what he does with this team, he runs it fully full auto. And he basically just, the only thing that he does is he will target heads that eat other champions. So that's all we're going to do. So we can see here, Angar, his buffs have fallen off right now. So we are struggling a little bit. So for example, right here, we could target this head to try to get it down. So the team has fallen a little bit low. Now Duchess can't pick people up. We've got the Provoke out. And we should start somewhat mischief tanking. So it looks like we got the little problem here, which is with health. Yeah. So the problem with him trying to mischief tank here, he can't quite do it because Duchess, look at this. When she does an A1, she throws out a little bit of a shield. When to Hanorach takes a turn, she throws out a bit of a continuous heal. So in this circumstance, it's definitely not working super well. It's not working super great, to be honest. Yeah, it's not working super great. As the mischief tank, yes, he does have the counterattack, and it's decent. There we go. Like, well, right there. No, that wasn't mischief tanking. So he's doing only an okay job, to be honest. Yeah. Like, I mean, we'll see how this goes, right? Initial impressions. I'm just looking at it. Like, the problem that he has is that he is functionally very, very similar to Bivald of the Thorn, I will say. But Bivald of the Thorn can place his Provoke through Poison Cloud, which is nice. And Bivald of the Thorn does quite a lot of healing. I actually feel like they're very similar champions, where they have the 100% Provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. And then they have the 50-50 chance to Provoke as well. But Bivald is better because Bivald can sort of lap the Head of Decay. This is the problem, right? Bivald has a 50% chance to provoke whenever he A1s, but you might get 2 A1s off, so you get 2 50% chances to re-provoke Decay with your weak chance. But with Angar, he only gets the 1 shot. He gets the chance to provoke once the dude has taken a turn. That's all he gets. which makes it actually pretty awkward, to be honest. Yeah, it's definitely more awkward. So here we can see, because Cupidus is the lowest health, he's getting the continuous heals and he's getting the shield. So that's not necessarily Angar's fault. It's just a sort of a team comp problem. Oh, you should not be. Okay, we're actually fine. Great thing too, Hanorak actually makes cleansing stuff really easy, huh? No, I don't think we need to target this head. It's fine. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to let this run out. We'll see how it goes overall. And then after that, we can come back and we can compare him to Kantra. I'll run the same team with Kantra, and I'll give you my overall impressions and how he does. But yeah, initial impressions, he's decent. Don't get me wrong. He's fine. But he's not like wowing me. He's definitely not wowing me, to be honest here. Yeah, he's not super hot. All right, guys. Well, there we go. We came to the end of the key. 20 minutes in, 45 million damage. And we can see the results across the board. Cupidus obviously slamming out the damage. Royal Guard as well. And Venus doing a ton of damage too. Actually, a really impressive amount of damage when you think about it. Angar did 5 million. So he's doing okay. I mean, bearing in mind, these are all like S tier damage dealers, right? But you compare Angar to Hanorak, he's not that far ahead. So his damage wasn't really there. And that's okay. I was actually checking his damage stats, and his damage is pretty poor. So let's do a free regroup. And I'm going to run this one more time. So I'm not 100% sure, actually. I'm not 100% sure, and maybe I'm misunderstanding his passive. I'm just going to do a quick run to double check it, because I was kind of looking for it at the end and not seeing it happen. I'm just not 100% sure if Bravado, does it need them to attack him? If an enemy with a provoke debuff attacks, I'm not sure if they need to attack him or not, because if they need to attack him, then this is terrible for Hydra. So I'm going to go and do the run and leave it run for like 5 minutes and watch him do maybe like 4 or 5 infuriates and see if it actually works. Will he then provoke Head of Decay even if it attacks someone else? Because yeah, maybe it's going to be bad. But yeah, so his A1, double hitter, potentially a triple hitter. It's a 12% HP multiplier per each one, so based off of his HP. So it's typically a 24% HP multiplier, can be up to a 36%. It's not that good, to be honest. That's definitely not that good at all. It's pretty weak. You know, it's fine, but it's pretty weak. One of my favorite ones, let me actually double check Deliana's multiplier. I think she has a 2 times multiplier. Let me double check it on her A1. Deliana right there that everyone has. So Deliana on her A1. No, never mind. Deliana has she has a 22% HP multiplier, but it's an AoE attack. So when it comes to Hydra, it comes to wave-based content, Deliana has a 22% multiplier. Mother Cybele, I think, has a 20% multiplier, and they are AoE A1s, so they do way more damage than he does. You know, in Hydra where there's 4 enemies, in Doom Tower where there's 5 enemies, in Arena where there's 4 enemies. Like those other champions, other HP based champions, they just do a lot more damage. Like he just doesn't do much. Then his A2, his AoE, is a 20% multiplier, which again is just really weak. It's just really poor. Deliana, in contrast, her A3, this attack is a 35% multiplier. So 35 versus 20%. It's just bad. I'm sorry. Like, it's just bad. I definitely think at the very least they should come in and they should definitely buff him up substantially. It might be kind of nice maybe if he did an extra hit when counterattacking. That could be kind of nice. A bit more consistent than counterattacking when provoke, because again, against the Hydra, he can only trigger that extra hit if he's attacking Head of Decay and it's currently provoked. Right, let me just go and do a quick test to see how this passive works. Yeah, I'm just going to run it again real fast and see how the passive works, if I'm understanding it correctly or not. So I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so I've run a few tests here. I'm now 90% sure that his passive only works if they attack him. So in this case, they will attack him, right? So here he gets attacked. I don't think he landed the provoke. Yeah, he didn't that time. That was unlucky. But I've seen him do it a few times. But basically, I've just been rerunning it like this over and over and over again. The Head of Mischief is sort of randomly targeting people, so we will see it target someone else as well. But I've yet to see... let's see. We need Mischief to not target him. Okay, here we go. So we get the provoke out. He's in no provoke. No provoke back in. I have not once seen him, and we've run this, I'd say, 6, 7, 8 times, something like that. I've run it a good few times. Well, actually, I've run it more like 20 times, but quite often Angar is being targeted. But from the times, I've not seen him provoke once. Here we go. Someone else is targeted. He's going to provoke. Here we go. We'll see. And there's nothing. I am 90% sure that his passive needs him to be attacked, which, in my opinion, pushes him massively down in the viability scale. It actually does. I think that actually is sort of, for me, that's sort of the nail in the coffin. I think this is really bad for him. For Hydra specifically, I should say. I'm pretty sure it's only if an enemy with a provoke debuff attacks him that he then can re-provoke them for another turn, which is just, I feel like that needs to be changed. The big problem is that for the Head of Decay to attack him, he needs to be the lowest health person, and he's a HP based champion. He's actually pretty tanky, and with this passive he takes way less damage, so it's just really hard for him to be the lowest HP person. Never mind the fact that if you have him as a mischief tank, which you kind of need him to be, I mean, you can't have your mischief tank be languishing low on life and in risk of actually dying. It's just not viable. So, yeah, you know what? That's actually... I'm going to run the Cantra comp just to see. Just for the sake of being fair here. But I can, I can tell you right now. I'm going to run the Cantra comp to confirm. But I can tell you right now, opinion on Angar is actually worse than when I started the video. I'm really sorry to Angar fans. I actually think much less of him than when I started the video. It's like, yes, he has the 100% AoE provoke with counterattack on himself. The reflect damage is very negligible. It does very, very little. But again, we'll run with the Cantra and we'll see how she does. And it's a decent move. Yeah, and like I think with a different style team comp than this one, we've got Duchess and we have we had two Hanorach throwing out kind of buffs slightly at random, so he wasn't mischief tanking super consistently. But in other comps he would. Nonetheless, I don't think he's the best one for it because his AoE, his A1 isn't that impressive. I think Wuji is a good comparison. I really strongly like Wuji as a mischief tank for Hydra, because she does a ton of damage because her counterattack is an AoE attack. It just does a lot more. The advantage of Angar is that he lets you have a mischief tank who can also be provoking, which is really nice. Now, Krisk does it as well. Krisk does it actually as well as he does because his passive sucks for Hydra. But Krisk does a ton of other things. Now, it's okay. Don't get me wrong, this isn't bad. His A1 is bad, it just doesn't do much damage. And then his passive, this is the most disappointing thing to me, is the fact that it seems to me, again, from my testing, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be wrong, because I only ran maybe, like I said, probably about 8 or 9 tests, and he didn't, like we could have just had the 50-50 go against, we could have flipped tails 9 times in a row, it's possible, but I just think it's bad. And it's just so difficult to have Decay actually target him. So he's really, as a provoker, he's basically coming in and giving you a provoke on a 3-turn cooldown. It's just not good. Like, you compare it to Krisk, you compare it to Sigmund the High Shield, he does way more with his kit. He's just not impressive. So I think for Hydra, I've been very unimpressed. I think, if you're early in mid-game, then yeah, he can be excellent, obviously. If you're early mid-game, he can be really, really good. I was impressed with him in Doom Tower, but he has to be, I think, your solo provoker because of his passive. He has to be the solo provoker, which really, again, lowers the value, I think. But, yeah, earlier mid-game, look, he does give you a mischief tank who's never going to die and gives you some provokes, but that's about it. Like, he's weak. I'm going to be honest. He is weak. Right, let me switch this up. We're going to have to switch the things as well. So let me throw Cantra. Now, it's a little bit unfair because Cantra is... Yeah, like I really think he's bad. I think Bivald, for example, does the job much better. Another problem with Angar, actually, just so you guys know, I have him with really slow speed. Now the problem is he needs to, either way, you need to have him with lots of resistance because he has counterattack. He puts counterattack on himself. He needs full resistance. He cannot have that buff be stolen. Like you cannot let counterattack be stolen. That's the ultimate no-no. buff to be stolen, so he needs to have like 460 resistance for Hydra hard. In my opinion, he just needs to have it. There's no way not to have 460 resistance, which really limits his build and really pushes you towards that sort of the Hydra tank thing. Oh man, yeah, right. I'll be right back. I'm not gonna make you guys watch this run or anything. I'll just let it run out. We're gonna go in full auto. We can leave her thing the same. I think this is fine. Cantra's coming in here. Venus can do her thing. So we want to leave her on default, and we actually want to, I think we want to leave him on default as well. It's probably okay. So the reason being, the reason this is a bit wonkier is that Cantra, she has a 75% chance to provoke every time she takes a turn, which is great. But they need 5 debuffs out. We can't put enough debuffs out at the start. So the head is going to get a turn. But yeah, we'll see how Cantra does. And yeah, I mean, maybe this team, maybe the Cantra version isn't going to be anything special. I don't know. Actually, I'm going to put it in as just the previous setting that he had. So he did have Cupidus using Flame. Actually, no, I don't want to. No, just open with this. It's fine. And don't use this. I've decided. I think it's better. Right. I'll be back. Let's see how these guys do. I'll let you know. Okay, well, actually, so I did a couple of tests, and this actually blew my mind. So this team is actually just bad. This is just a bad team that we have built. So the problem with this team, Cantra is not working properly because she needs to have these 5 debuffs out before she can start provoking. Now, we have the slight problem that she's a little bit slow, 222. You'd like her to be faster than that, and you'd like her to be in something like a reflex set so she can get back to her debuff thing. It's not essential now, but it's a nice bonus. The big problem, we're running into several big problems though. This team is basically built with these champions are just insanely OP champions, and it's just it's pure brute force. And it's not very successful. There's just zero control in this team. The problem we run into at the start is that we just don't have enough debuffs out before Cantra goes, so she cannot physically provoke. It's just impossible for her with this team to land a provoke at the start of the fight. She just can't do it. And that's a really big problem, because it means then that the first cleanse goes out, the poison cloud goes out, Wrath gets increased attack and just starts slamming everything. And then he triggered, and there's just nothing you can do. There's no control, and it's just everyone keeps dying. Duchess keeps reviving, and they sort of nuke stuff down because there's just hella OP champions. It's a really, really big problem. Like with the Cantra style team, you definitely need to plan your debuffs out with your support champions and have them go first and have her be consistent, and then it works really, really well, because every time she takes a turn, 75% chance to provoke, which is great, and also decreasing the enemy accuracy. She takes less damage and she heals tons. It works really well. It's not working really well on this team because, like, what do we have? Duchess has no debuffs. Cupidus only has HP burn. Venus does have she has some. Venus has some. She has decreased defense weaken, and then she has HP burn. So that's 3. She can also poison. Now, that would be kind of useful, but on auto, she doesn't target that head. So that's a problem. So we've got like 3 between all of these. We have decreased defense, that's doubled up. We've got decreased speed, that's 4. And then with Tuhanarak, she has decreased speed, okay. She has decreased attack block buffs. But that's it. Now, these aren't super consistent, like, because she's doing a debuff spread. So we have 6 debuffs, right? We have 6 debuffs total, and they're not all super consistent. So it just doesn't work very well. It just doesn't work very well, is the honest truth. Now, Cantra obviously provides a whole bunch more. She brings you decreased accuracy and heal reduction too. So that's very helpful. If she actually lands stuff successfully, that helps a ton. But she's not landing stuff super consistently either. So it's a really big problem with this team. But nonetheless, I think when I look at Cantra, this is a champion I can build a much more consistent team around and feel much better about it, because she's so much more consistent with the provokes. She can steal buffs from the target. Now, this isn't great because she makes herself a mischief target. And again, that's a problem with this team, is that she does steal buffs because we've got so little control that they keep buffing themselves. She keeps stealing buffs, and then Mischief just steals them right back off of her. It's a really bad team. It's just not built right. So that's a really big problem. but she does bring that utility. This utility should usually be very helpful for you. And then, yeah, this move is just great because it's bringing you supplemental decreased speed, decreased attack, all this stuff. She's not reliable. Not reliable. Each hit has a 50% chance of one of these at random. So it's super random. But to bring you a little bit of extra decreased accuracy or decreased speed, block buffs, decrease, like these are useful things to have. As just a backup, which is great. She also brings you accuracy in all battle aura. So yeah, I think Cantor is way better. But it's actually kind of funny. I feel like Angar is, believe it or not, in this exact team, Angar is better. Angar is better because at least he has the 100% provoke every 3 turns, whereas Kantra, because it's not set up for her to succeed here, she does not have the 100% chance to provoke. So I actually thought that was really interesting. I thought that was really, really interesting. So yeah, that was kind of an interesting test. Does that change my opinion on Angar? Unfortunately not, no. Unfortunately, no, it doesn't. Actually, is there anyone else in here running like Venus Cupidus type stuff? I'd be curious if anyone is. Doesn't look like it. No, these are all Krisk teams. Yeah, okay, never mind. Well, yeah, so look, I mean, again, Angar, I definitely think he needs a buff. I'm going to be brutally honest. I think this champion needs a substantial buff. I think, first of all, they need to really up his damage. His damage sucks. He needs a lot more damage. Reflect damage in general needs to be pretty much doubled. Should be like 60% reflect damage. And it would still probably be pretty bad. But it'll be something, or change how it's coded. They need to do something about this, I think, at some point. It's awkward. Like, I mean, you could run Angar really fast in reflex set, but again, the issue is that he's gonna have counterattack up, and you can't have that stolen. So he needs to be really fast in reflex set, but also have really high resistance, so counterattacks can get stolen, which is awkward. It's really awkward. So yeah, Angar, unfortunately, is he any good? Not really. I'm sorry. Not really. I think he's really underwhelming. I'd rather have Kantra. I'd rather have Bivald. I'd probably rather have Seeker, to be completely honest. I really do think that Seeker comes in, and he has 250% chances to provoke, so he has a 75% chance to provoke on his A1, effectively, with turn meter boost for your team. I think Seeker is, just generally speaking, more useful. There you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed watching and seeing some of the testing. Anyway, let me know what you think. I'm sure the Angar apologists aren't going to care. But yeah, honestly, he really badly needs a buff. He's worse for Hydra than I expected. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.